Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for yet another exciting, hopefully, episode of Fighting Fantasy Fun as we play Masks of Mayhem, book number 23 in the Fighting Fantasy franchise. The greyest cover, not the best writing, not the best sort of narrative structure, but a good story, a good puzzle, challenging, and therefore fun. A little bit unfair at times with the insta deaths, a little bit. Even so unfair that I had to teach you some Bergen expression a few episodes ago, but that's another story. So, I think I'll just get started playing this now. Yeah, there's nothing else I really need to say before I get started, is there? No, I'll be fine. Right, here we are on my desk. I've got my supplies ready, got my book, my maps, loads of maps, got pens, pencil, dice, and my character sheet to be as we get ready for another little stroll down memory lane, harking back to the 80s and 90s when these books were all the rage. Multi-million bestsellers. They're on the bestseller lists and things like that. Quite astounding stuff. Actually, I'm not making a new character. I'm supposed to continue with my previous one because I just remembered I actually left off playing last time in the middle of the game. So that means I just need to locate my map. So just to do a recap. So last time, or the beginning of the book, let's do the beginning. So, okay, so at the beginning of the book, you are the good and benevolent and all the goody two-shoes leader of a domain known as Arion. You have a court wizard who is sort of a co-leader almost, it sounds like. You certainly feel that you couldn't lead without him, whose name is Ivor Tynan. He tells you he has been wandering the astral plane to have a little gander at what Morgana, the evil sorceress, is up to. And he has seen something very disturbing. Now, in the mythology of this part of the world, there is a set of 12 seals, sigils. I can't remember the exact word used for it in the book now, that are the source of all life, energy, and magic. And the knowledge of them is a well-kept secret that's only supposed to be shared amongst good wizards. Evil sorcerers and sorceresses are not allowed to gain any knowledge of this information, and the Council of Sorcerers is trying to keep it from them. But somehow Morgana has been able to get 11 of these seals and turn them into masks that can be put on golems. Golems, of course, from Jewish mythology, a creature that is created out of earth or stone or mud, and animated that way. Very strong creatures. And she's got 12 golems, one for each seal. She's got 11 masks. She just needs one more, the 12th seal. And if she gains that and makes that into another mask, her 12 golems will be able to basically take over the whole world. So this is what Ivor tells you. He tells you that you have to be the one to go and deal with Morgana yourself, because you're the only one who can do it, because you are such a good and moral person that, which I question a little bit, that you are practically not impervious, but the effects of evil magic will be less on you than it will be on other people. So, and therefore you have to be the one to go. And he can't do it because, well, he's just a sorcerer. Yeah. And also, I think he's evil secretly, but that's a different story. But an interesting part of the story because it does feel like there's a sort of a sinister plot happening behind the scenes that you don't know anything about yet, but there's little hints of it, and that's actually quite a good part of the story. That's one of the good things about how this is written. There are other shortcomings though. Um, Right. So the plan is as follows. Morgana lives up in the mountains of Krill Ganache. You have to travel from Arion, and you have to travel either through the hills or through the forest, and then you get to Fallow Dale, and after that there is a sort of a grassland or a more sort of a swampland you have to get through in order to get to the mountains. Um, and last time I started from what did I do last time? Yeah, well, last time I started from the beginning again, but I sort of know for sure now what the correct path is through the beginning of the book. I'll just run you through that. So you start out leaving Arion quite quickly. You go to north and you get to a lake called Lake Necros, and you are given a choice to go east through the hills or west through the forest. I went west. I think that is the correctest path. When told that you can camp for the night for the first time, you are either given a choice of camping by the lakeside or going on into the forest. If you go on into the forest, you bump into some Spriggans, which is a kind of fairy folk that are evil but cowardly, and you fight them. If you camp by the lakeside, however, something else happens. You encounter the kraken that lives in the lake, and it attacks you, and you can fight it and kill it. And if you kill it, you actually free many of the restless souls of people who were killed by the kraken over the centuries. And they tell you that they will help you once. And I'm quite sure that this is something that you need to do. You need to be able to get their help in order to deal with the golems later. And then you go into the forest, you meet the Spriggans anyway, and then you bump into some elves, some wood elves, and they have a magic mirror, and they've seen something of what's going to happen. And that's also, and when I think about it, the second time in this book that there's a Lord of the Rings inspiration, possibly in this book, both with the souls of the dead that come to your aid, and also in the magic mirror, that they've seen things that may come to pass, but they can't tell you all of it because you still have your free will. Well, free will. So, and also you are sort of get the an image from this mirror that you have to stand in a certain place where there's two oak trees, and you have to hold in one hand something long and thin and something in the other hand you can't see. And this is, I think, the scepter and orb that shows your power. The ancient symbols of power in this area, of course, of royal power, is a scepter and orb that have been lost, apparently. And you will oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Yeah, right at the very, very beginning, your armorer, Kevin Truehand, he comes to you, or you come to him to get your sword in on your helmet, that's been polishing. The helmet is very important, by the way, because it is a symbol of your right to rule, I suppose you could say. It has been worn by the rulers of Arion for generations. It's a special helmet, and there's a sort of a myth, a legend, that if it ever got lost, then Arion would be cast into chaos as well. Kevin Truehand, he's the one who says that you should go to Fallow Dale, which is past the forest, in order to speak to Heva, who is the leader there, and get help from him. He has a horn which has magical powers and will help you in the fight against evil. So you talk to the elves, you're shown the mirror, and they know where you have to go. So they then send you, they transport you, they teleport you to the hills. And then you get to a spot where you could have got to if you'd gone into the hills directly. But it looks like going through the forest first is the correct way. One of the first things you encounter after getting to the hills is you encounter a lich that you can take his sword from him. It's a +1 sword. You get 1 extra skill for it, which is very, very good. And then you get to the point where you can find the scepter, and also that you can get into a mine. You can get into it from 2 places, either from the hills themselves or from the other side. And in either case, you sort of, at some point, you get to exactly the same places, or the same paragraphs, I should say, because the paragraphs are slightly different, but many of them are identical as well. You get through the mine, you survive that. Eventually, there are several possibilities of dying there. If you look at the map, it says the end, the end. Am I in focus? I hope so. The end, things like that. And then you get out of the mine, and then you are at the point where you are heading towards Fallow Dale. That is where we will start our adventure. We will get to this map at some point. I am looking for this map here. So this is where we start our adventure today, is as we are approaching Fallow Dale, or getting closer to Fallow Dale. We are on paragraph 343. Is that correct? Yes. Let's see what happens. You set your course by the sun for Fallow Dale. If you have 2 or fewer lots of provisions left, turn to 376. I've got 6 left. I think that's what it says there. And I turn to 200. The remainder of the journey to Fallow Dale is uneventful, apart from the occasional skirmish with a wild beast, which is not given any special paragraphs or mention, which is interesting, how to skip past things like that. As you descend into Fallow Dale, you recall what you know about the place. Several villages are located there, and the population is a mixture of human and other intelligent species. The villages are bound into a loose federation under a single overlord who occupies a fortified castle in the middle of the Dale. Heather is the present Lord of Fallowdale, and his proud boast is that the fortifications of his castle are purely for external enemies, which is a strange proud boast. His villagers live in peace with one another and with him. Apart from this, you have little reliable knowledge. The people of Arion never travel far from their familiar world, and certainly not as far as Fallow Dale. A few traders have passed from Heather's land to yours. Well, I suppose with the perils of the forest and the hills, you can sort of see why. Yeah. You can see the castle a few kilometers away. Your route could take you through a village, or you could bypass the village by crossing a large ploughed field. So this is where I'm only 1 stamina point down, so I don't need healing really. So I can skip that, I suppose. Otherwise, going into the village is basically just for the healing. Now, one thing that I'm a bit interested in to find out is if there are other things that could happen if I go into the field that are interesting. Because you are given 2 chances to go into the field as you approach Fallow Dale, both after the village and before the village. So I'm going to go into the field. When you reach the far side of the field, you stop to remove the mud which has stuck to your boots and is weighing them down. When you look up from your task, you find the farmer glowering at you. By his side are 2 snarling Calagarian ridgebacks, half dog, half wolf, highly intelligent killers. No doubt you could take all 3 of them on, But you don't want to offend Heather by harming any of his people, so when the farmer rages at you for trampling over his newly seeded field, you offer to pay for any damage you may have caused. Will you offer 2 gold pieces, Cholumbara, or a copper nugget? Cholumbara is a bit weird because I don't have Cholumbara. Cholumbara is a goddess. I have a statuette of Cholumbara. So it should have said it's statuette, really, of Cholumbara. Now, I do have a copper nugget, didn't I? I thought I got a copper nugget. I'm quite sure I picked up a copper nugget that I just forgot to make a note of. But I'm going to try this time to see what happens with the statuette of Cholumbara, because I think, if I remember correctly from last time, that Cholumbara is some deity to do with agriculture. So this might be interesting to the farmer. The farmer is overjoyed at your gift. This will more than compensate, he says. Cholumbara's presence will increase my crops for sure. You are pleased to have got out of an ugly situation so easily, and also to have shed the weight of the statuette. Add 1 luck point. So, luck is down up to 11. You make your way now to the castle gates, turn to 78. So, Cholumbara is, you get 1 + 1 luck, and then we go to 78. It is evening when you reach the gates. 2 dwarf guards ask your business, then show you inside to a sparsely furnished waiting room. One of them returns before long. My Lord Heather is dining, he says, and asks whether you will join him. Will you accept and go straight away, or ask to be shown to your room first? So, if I get shown to my room first, there is a bit of a scuffle, isn't there? Oh, hang on, have I done that? No, I have not been shown to my room first. I thought I did that last time. Didn't I do that last time? If I did, it's not on the map. Hang on. I'm a bit just wondering now. I thought I had done that, but obviously I've only been shown to my room later. Maybe yeah. Maybe I should try doing that then, in case that is something that will... I don't think it really makes so much of a difference. Oh yes, I have done it. Yeah, there it is. So it's just the arrow went the other way there. So that's what I did last time. I got shown to my room. I waited, I got over here. The thing is, I'm just wondering if it doesn't really matter what order you do these things in now. Because regardless of what you do, it looks like you are going to have something stolen from you. So maybe I'm going to try just going to dinner in that case, just to see what happens now. And I'll save my game just in case it's not the right option, but I think that should be okay. So I'm going to accept and go straight away to dinner. You enter the feast room. Seated at the tables is a strange assortment of creatures. Humans rub shoulders with elves, birdmen are talking with dwarf warriors. There's even a friendly giant tucking into half a roasted ox. But over them all, lord of his own domain, sits Heather, to whom anger and merriment are equally pleasing. That's a strange description of a person. You are led to the high table, where the place of honor at Heather's right hand has been kept free for you. You are welcome, cousin, booms Heather, for so I think I may address you. Be seated, and forget your tiresome journey for the hours that you passed here. Why don't I have your things taken up to your room? If you accept, you retain your sword, but your other belongings are taken away by the guard who ushered you into the great hall. turn to 71. I think I'll do that just to see if that still works the same. I think it's not going to make a difference now in the long run, but let's find out. The meal is well in progress. Restore 4 stamina points, so I'm up to 18 on my max. When the guard returns with a whirring tail. He was attacked by some pygmy orcs inside your room and knocked unconscious. When he came to, your helmet had gone and there was no sign of the thieves. You immediately ask to be directed to your room while Heather is busy organizing a search party. When you get there, you soon find a rope dangling out of the window to the ground below, which is outside the castle walls. Will you grab your belongings and go alone down the rope in pursuit, or wait for Heather? I'm going to wait. Let's see, 137, just see if there are any common paragraph numbers here. 166. So 137, wait. Okay, so I'm going to wait and see 137 because they are after, these orcs are after me, not my things. Heather comes to the room and you show him the rope. He says that a search party of 5 of his soldiers is waiting for you in the courtyard. I know how important that helmet is to your family, he adds. Ivor Tynan sent a message by Eagle of your coming, and he mentioned the helmet as the sure way to recognize you. And also, how does Ivor Tynan know that I'm coming here? Because that was what Kevin Truehand told me, not Ivor. So, yeah, still a bit suspicious, very suspicious. So, you join the soldiers and set out in pursuit of the thieves. Turn to 166, and that is the same paragraph as if you went out on your own, but later there will be a question, are you on your own or not? And that will make a difference. If you're on your own, you will get killed. It is difficult for you to pick up the trail of the thieves during the nighttime, even with the moon out, but some progress is made. By morning you are on the margins of Pikestaff Plain, heading north, and the tall grass of the plain makes it easy to track the thieves. The bent and crushed stems are clearly visible. Soon the thieves themselves come into view, heads and shoulders bobbing above the grass. If you have companions, yes I do, it is no hard task to halt the thieves. There are 6 pygmy orcs, specially bred for burglary. They look at you with venom. Curse you for bringing others, the leader hisses. It is you we want, not your paltry helmet. He draws a wicked-looking dagger and lunges for you, while the other orcs engage your companions. So, we have a pygmy orc who is a 710, quite a strong character. I am 13 because of my +1 sword, and 18, so I've got a 6 skill point advantage, and it says if you win within 5 attack rounds, turn to 268. So, let's see. 6 advantage, he rolls 9, I roll 10, so that is down to 8. He rolls 4, automatic hit, really. He rolls 10, I roll 11. He rolls 8, 6, and 12. 5. So actually, he hit me. And that means I didn't win in 5 attack rounds. 11, 4. Okay, so that is another hit. And 4. Okay, so yeah. So I go to 129 for not winning in 5 rounds. One of the other orcs has defeated his opponent and now joins in the fight against you. You will have to fight them both simultaneously. Choose one of them to fight by the normal combat rules. So the normal standard fighting multiple opponent rules, actually. Let's see, where are we? 1, 2... Just make sure I'm updating my map here now. So 1, 2, 9, where are we? 1, 6, 7, 1, 2, 9. Okay. So I'm now fighting 6, 10. So if you do it in 5 rounds, you don't have to fight so much extra, but if you don't do it in 5, you have to fight extra, it seems. So that is okay. 6, 10, 5, 8. So I'm going to start with the 610, fight him first. So I've got a 7 skill point advantage. So he rolls 6, so that is a hit. Second one tries to attack me, rolls 8. Against him I've got an 8 skill point advantage, so no need to roll for me there. Next one rolls 3. Second one rolls 6. Okay, so that's fine. I'm defending myself. 6, 10, and I roll 7. Yeah, defending myself. 7. Second one rolls 9. I roll 6. That's fine. He rolls a 4. He is dead. Second one attacks me, and I'm fine. Now I'm attacking the second one. I got my 8 skill point advantage. He rolls 7, 9. He rolls 11, and he rolls 7, and then he is dead. I'm just doing a bit more speed combat now. So if I roll for the monster and there's no way they can, so if I got an 8 skill point advantage, for instance, that means I need to roll 10 just to get a draw. So I don't need to roll for myself if I then roll 9 or less. So that's how it works. Right, so if you win, go to 268. So 268. There are 3 of your companions left, but no orcs. You recover your helmet, and the 4 of you begin the long trek back to Fallow Dale, resting frequently on the way. Now, should I eat something now? I'm just wondering, because I will not get... I will get a little bit more stamina, but 14, I'm going to eat 1 ration and go back up to 18, actually, because he will replenish my rations as well at some point. 321. Okay. When you get back to Fallow Dale and appear before Heather with your helmet, he can see that you are whom you claim to be, the ruler of Arion. At the back of your mind now is the question, but he did see my helmet before, so that also doesn't make any sense, by the way. Yeah. At the back of your mind now is the question of Heather's horn and how to ask him about it, but you spend the time discussing more pressing questions. How did the thieves know you were here? How did a message get through to them, and from whom? And also, how did Ivor know to... Yeah. Eventually, Heather suggests that some tales from his bard might take your mind off your worries, if you're not too tired. Will you accept or go to bed? I will accept. You and Heather continue the small talk of the table for a while until you are joined by... Yeah, just checking I'm not drawing on myself there. I'm scratching with my pencil. Joined by the bard. Yes, he is a young man branded on the forehead with the traditional mark of his kind. So that wherever he may roam in civilized lands, he will be treated as a sacred guest. And that actually reminds me of the Odyssey, because in the civilized lands as well, in the Greek ancient world, the world of the Odyssey and the Iliad, there's a certain kind of code that sort of the elite of Greece follow. So, and it has to do with hospitality. Basically, if someone is civilized, and of course in their view that means someone who speaks Greek, someone who isn't foreign in that sense. And if you travel within that area where people speak Greek and they are civilized, if you go to someone's house and you knock on their door, and they open the door and they see this stranger there, and it doesn't matter what you look like, if you look ragged from days on the road, if you look like a beggar, you will still be treated exactly the same. They will take you in. They will not ask you who you are and what your business is. They will take you in. They will make sure you get a bath, that you get clean clothes, that you get good food, the best food in the house, and you get the best bed as well. And then in the morning, that's when they will ask you who you are, why you've come, and what your business is, and if there's something else they can do to help you. And the reason for this is quite interesting as well. Or the sort of the of course it makes sense in a sort of a moral perspective, but as usual with these kinds of things, it has a religious background. Because the thing is, if a stranger comes knocking at your door and he, no matter what he looks like, there is a chance it may be a god in disguise. The gods will frequently test people in the civilized world if they follow these rules. So somebody looks like a beggar at your door. It could be the god Hermes. It could be, yeah, etc. It could be Athena in disguise, and you don't know. So, and if you then turn them away or treat them in a different way, then you are offending the gods. I mean, literally offending the gods, and you will be punished for it. So this sort of idea of hospitality and love towards strangers, xenophilia, which is sort of a Greek thing, stems from the fact that people actually believed that the gods were wandering around and took human form, and sometimes would test people to see if they accepted strangers into their homes and treated them as if they were gods. It's quite an interesting dynamic going on there, but I think that's part of one of the really interesting things about that you can read out of a story like the Odyssey. I mean, if you just disregard all the actual storyline of Odysseus, of Ulysses trying to get back home, you can read it as a story of how to treat strangers and how not to offend the gods. And that's it, really. In essence, it's a moral tale, and those are the sort of take-home points of the story, really, if you just boil it down to its purest essence. That's probably something I should go with another video and just talk about that, I think, because it's, yeah. Anyway, the Odyssey. Excellent story, interesting book, and it has some interesting views on the sort of how people's how it worked, the contract, I suppose, between gods and men as it was understood in those days. Right. As he tells a few traditional tales, you are struck by the fact that he is not very good. You glance curiously at Heather, and he whispers the reason to you. This lad was the apprentice of my former bard, who was the best in the land, but he was abducted a few months ago and has not been heard of since. Oh, actually, that didn't occur to me before, but there is a possibility then that he was abducted by Morgana, or either, or both, because they may be working together. Still, this lad is improving. He is learning to weave a song around any tale you want him to. This, of course, is the traditional bardic skill. As his guest, Heather tells you, you can ask the bard to sing something. It would be impolite to turn down this invitation. Will you ask him to sing about the old story of Pike and the Firefox, or to make up a song about your own visit to Fallow Dale? I'm going to ask him to make up a song. The bard stumbles and hesitates a bit, but manages to concoct a short epic, consisting mainly of entirely fanciful episodes about your trip to Fallow Dale from Arion. The end result is quite pleasing, and certainly flattering. He keeps going on about the power of a scepter and orb when wielded by a true ruler, until you almost feel that you could complete the rest of your quest. If only you had a scepter and an orb. Add 1 luck point. So plus 1 luck. So 12. I do have a scepter. Did I actually not even put that on the... I see I've forgotten to put it on my character sheet. I've been a bit sloppy with my character sheet this time. But I did find the scepter last time. You saw the video. You know it's true. Afterwards, you go to bed, turn to 26. You sleep long and well, add 2 stamina points, don't need those, and wake up in the morning refreshed and determined to ask Heather immediately about his horn. You find him in the privy chamber. He has shown himself to be both friendly and trustworthy, so you tell him about your quest and explain how useful his fabled horn would be. Heather is quiet for a while after you have finished talking. Then he says, "It is clear that your mission is so dangerous that were you to take my horn, I might never see it again." Maybe he should have a voice a bit more like Brian Blessed, actually. Yeah. "And yet it is a bulwark of my reign. If I give it to you, I must have in return something of great, great value." If you have a magic crystal mirror, turn to 58, otherwise turn to 149. Now, I had established, by the way, that the only way to get a magic crystal mirror, well, there are 2 ways. One of them is when you get to the elves' camp, you look in the mirror instead of asking the elves what's going on, and then you suddenly kill them. Yes, moral and benevolent leader. Or if you ask the elves about Halibor, you actually summon Halibor and they come and kill everyone, and then you can take the mirror. Yes, so if you have the mirror, that means you're a terrible, terrible person. In fact, I just want to check now and see what happens if it says you have the mirror. Yes, I thought so. I thought so. I'll just read this out, just because this is interesting. Because I've really established, haven't I, that getting the mirror means that you are evil. So, have a look at this. You hand over the crystal mirror to Heather. He takes it, frowns in recognition of it, and the foolish or evil deed you must have done to get hold of it. So foolish if you summoned Galibor, and evil if you just killed for it. And turns it towards you. The mirror forms a vortex which sucks you in and you are lost forever. There you go. So if you show up with a mirror, he knows you are evil, and that is true, and then you die. So it is a test of moral fortitude. But the thing is, in the book, when you're given the choice in the elf's hut, to look in the mirror, that doesn't sound like an evil thing to do. So basically, you are being cheated a little bit there. So that is not. It's not the right way that should have been handled in the game book, I think, because you can do it by accident. And if it's supposed to be a moral choice, then it should be deliberate. So you should be given a choice in a different way. That's what I think. So basically, what should have happened is you say that you're going to look in the mirror, and you look at the mirror, and then you get told off by the shaman or the elf chief, and they tell you that, oh, sorry, you can't look in the mirror now. Do not look in the mirror, and do as you're told and all that stuff. And then you're given the choice if you want to attack them or look away, for instance. I think that would be more fair. Okay. Rant over. Right. So, where am I? Yes. Otherwise, turn to 149. So actually, I quite like how the result of giving him the mirror now is something that is... it shows your moral lacking, I suppose. I have nothing of value to offer you except myself, you say simply. Heather thinks for a moment. All right, he says finally. There is something you could do for me. There is an exceptionally large saber-toothed cat which has its lair in Affan Forest, but occasionally emerges and roams my lands, killing my people and their flocks. If you can free my land from this beast, the cat is hard to get close to. Hang on. If you can free my land from this beast, I will give you my horn. But it will not be easy. The cat is hard to get close to and extremely dangerous when cornered. Will you accept the test or not? I will, of course, accept the test. Heather equips you with a hunting spear and a pack of hounds, and himself leads you to the part of Affan Forest in which the tiger is known to be hiding at the moment. On the opposite page is a map of this part of the forest. You and your hounds enter the forest at E12. The tiger is hidden in its lair at E4. Track both your progress and the tiger's in pencil on the map. Each turn, roll 1 die for your hounds and then 1 for the tiger. These rolls are not simultaneous. Your hounds may catch up with the tiger after one of their rolls and before the tiger has its roll. The effect of the rolls is shown in the following table. So, this is where I need my hunting map that I've used twice now. So, first time I did pencil, second time I did green. Now I'm going to do red. So I'm starting down here. The tiger, or the cat, I should call it still. Saber-toothed cat. Cat. No such thing as a saber-toothed tiger. And we've got 8 rounds to end up in a square next to the tiger. So I roll a 5. Move 1 square west. Okay. Then we have 2 for the tiger. Move 1 square north. Not good. 6. Your hounds lose the scent and do not move this turn. Ooh. 6. Move 1 square north. This isn't going very well. Okay, so 1, 2 rounds. 2, that's better. Move 1 square east. Back to square 1. Tiger rolls a 1. Move 1 square south. It's there. 6. Lose the scent. Tiger, 6. Move 1 square north. He's back again there. 6. Lose the scent. This is the worst big cat hunt ever. 1 square south. Tiger is there. So basically now we're actually exactly where we started, both of us. 4. Your hounds are well on the trail. Move 2 squares closer. Okay, so that is up there. 3. Move 1 square west. 4. Your hounds are well on the trail. Move 2 squares closer. So that's there. 4. Move 1 square east. Okay, so the tiger is still where it started. Oh, by the way, that's the round. That's 7, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's 7. 5. The tiger stops to investigate a tree and does not move this turn. And I roll 6 and I lost the scent. So that is the worst tiger cat, big cat hunt ever. Yes, failed miserably. Okay. Right. 177. You return in shame to where Hever is waiting with his village headman at the edge of the forest. Not my fault, though, it's the dogs. The pennants fluttering in the gentle breeze and the sound of skylarks high above are strangely at odds with your sense of failure. That's a very nice sentence there. Hever is a man of his word. He does not give you his horn. He escorts you back to the castle. As you are preparing to leave, Hever has food brought to you from the kitchen. Restore 2 stamina points. And let's see, 2 stamina points. Don't need those. And turn to 384. Where are we now? 384. 384. There we are. Yeah. As you are taking your leave of Heather, a bruised and bleeding figure thrusts his way past the guards into the courtyard and collapses face down at your feet. You gently turn him over and have difficulty at first in recognizing Kevin Truehand, your armorer from Arion. What's he doing coming all this way, by the way? That's really weird. He is barely alive. He speaks through cracked lips with a great effort, as if resisting the approach of death or of something worse. Majesty, I tried. Black magic must not give up. Or give in. Yes, it says give in, not give up. Same difference. Then he chokes and breathes his last. You jump to your feet. Will you go over to discuss this matter with Heather? I will, because he is going to be reanimated as a demon just now. With death, Kevin's heroic resistance snaps once and for all, and the evil spirit implanted in his body is able to take control. It too jumps to its feet, that is, Kevin's feet, and it hurls an impenetrable magical barrier around itself and you. But because you have moved closer to Heather, he is caught inside the barrier and helps you in the fight. The spirit, cackling with glee and cracking a fiery nine-tailed whip, has eyes only for you. But every time you win an attack round, you may assume that Heather has been successful too, and reduce the fiend's stamina by 3 instead of 2. So we have, I am at 13, 18. This demon has 9, 12. And that means I got 4 skill point advantage. He rolls 5. That is a hit, a palpable hit. He rolls 10. I roll 6. That is a draw. 6 and 8. Yep. Where are we now? 6. Yep. 3. Yeah, that is another hit. He's down to 3. And 10, 7, that is another hit, and he is dead. Okay. If you both win, the barrier dissolves. Turn to 132. You answer Heather's inevitable questions, but you can only guess what treachery lies behind this incident. Then you leave Fallow Dale. Heather has restocked you with a full amount of 10 lots of provisions. So provisions now up to 10. So I've got 10 provisions, 18 stamina, potion of stamina, luck 12. That means I'm basically at full health right now. Which means it's, at the moment, I am just as fresh as I was when I started the game. So that's very good, because it means this is a good point where I could sort of continue if I wanted to carry on from this location. So I will do a little bit more. I've played for almost 50 minutes. I'll do a little bit longer. Turn to 20. After half a day's travel through the chest-high grass of Pikestaff Plain, nothing more exciting has happened than pollen causing you to sneeze once in a while. The landscape is featureless, just the same grass all around. However, you do come across a tiny trail. It is no more than 15 centimeters wide and therefore hard to spot among the stems. But it is a definite trail, running dead straight from southwest to northeast. Will you ignore it and carry on, or wait by it? So, this is where there's a new map turnover. So here we are. So there is still some chance that there is something I've missed here in the plains before I get to further north and the ruined village and the bushfire and the canyon. There is, and of course once you get there, there's another choke point, but there is a chance there is something else here that I've missed. So I need to really look out for that. So what I've done before is I have ignored it and moved on. Yeah, I have looked at it. Wait by it. There's one thing I haven't done, and that is to go the other direction. So I'm going to wait by the trail, first of all, and see what happens. You don't have to wait long before a large red ant passes by. Soon you have seen over a dozen of them. Recognize them as treasure ants, so called because they line their nests with any trinkets they can carry. They are quite large. You have already seen 4 of them dragging a dead field mouse along, and their bites can be painful. These ants are passing you by in both directions, but the ones traveling southwest are usually carrying some tidbit or other. So obviously their nest is somewhere in that direction. You are tempted to find the nest to see if they have hoarded anything valuable. But treasure ants are known to travel many kilometers, and southwest is out of your way. Will you head southwest? wait where you are for a while in case an ant passes by with something valuable, or ignore them and press on northwards. So I'm going to wait now because I haven't done that before. See if something different happens. While you are waiting, you are so intent on watching the ants that you fail to notice a large poisonous snake. Am I going to eat it? Surely it's a venomous snake. Yes, venomous snake, not poisonous. So, okay, so you notice now I have a few bugbears. So there is saber-toothed cats, not saber-toothed tigers, and it's venomous snakes, not poisonous snakes. Yes, those are two of my bugbears now. Right. Rustling the grass as it slithers up behind you until it is almost too late. You whirl around, but it is a spit viper and it spits acid at your eyes. Test your luck. So we have test luck. So maybe waiting is not a good idea after all. And 255 lucky, or 41 unlucky. Okay. I'll not need to roll actually because my luck is 12. It goes down to 11. And I scratch my back a little bit. There we are. And I go to 255. Only a few drops of the acid splash into your eyes. Reduce your skill by 2 points for this fight only. Spit Viper, skill 4, stamina 4. So I suppose basically that means effectively it's like fighting a 6 skill Viper in this case. I suppose it would have been worse if I had lost my luck roll there. So I am fighting I'm not going to reduce that number I've got written down there. So I am going to say that this is now a 6 for opponent. So I've got 7 skill point advantage. He rolls 10, I roll 4, yeah, and he rolls 5. So that is him dead. If you win, will you stay waiting by the ant trail or carry on north? So we have option to go to 140 or to wait even longer. Well, obviously I'm going to wait because maybe something interesting happens. Or not. You wait until the sun is getting low and red, but no ant passes carrying anything more valuable than a rusty nail. Lose 1 luck point. Luck -1. You decide to end this pointless exercise and carry on north. Turn to 140. So right. So right at this point, I could say I'm going to backtrack to the point before where I had everything ready, and so I don't lose the luck. And I may just do that because I mean I'm trying to win this game, but I'm going to leave that for now. I'm still exploring a little bit, so let's just play it reasonably fair at the moment. So and say that we now got 10 luck and go to 140, even though I could sort of go back and have 12 luck. Because I only lost 2 luck there, really, in the end. That's which is still quite a lot. So I'm going to make a note on my map now to not do that. Right, so basically now, if you need stamina, you can get that in the, yeah. Anyway, by nightfall there is still no end to the grass. Will you flatten some of it and bed down for the night, or press on? If you bed down, you get -2 provisions, it says there. Or -2. Yeah. So I'm going to press on. You must eat 1 lot of provisions to keep up. Just to keep your strength up. A full night's travel brings you to the end of the grass. The landscape facing you is moorland, dotted with rocks and shrubs. and crisscrossed by numerous streams and rivers which reflect the dawn sun. You rest for a while and then carry on. Turn to 68. If you followed the ant trail at all, turn to 291. I didn't actually follow it, did I? Otherwise, turn to 350. I'm still curious what is... Oh, is there actually no way to... I'm just wondering if, because it looks to me maybe there is no chance to get to the houses or the ruined village up here without having followed the ant trail. Is that right? Yes. Okay, in that case, it looks like I have to follow. Okay, so I will have to backtrack now because I want to go to this this part of the map, and it looks like the only way is to have followed the ant trail. So, because that's the only thing. If you don't do that, you miss that bit, and you only get here. So that means that this is actually mandatory now. Okay, so I will have to backtrack to where I left Fallow Dale now. And as I get to 202 with the ant trail, I'm going to follow the ant trail. So I go to 105 and 304. So if you follow the ant trail, you're sort of told that you can see somebody passing with a rusty nail. Do you want to continue? Yes. And then we continue. And then you get to a point where your perseverance is rewarded. You come across an open area in the grass where hard mud is pitted with holes, each of which is about the size of your fist and serves as entrance and exit for countless ants. You dig in the earth with your sword, but while you do so, ants have the opportunity to climb all over you and nip you. You can gain treasure worth up to 10 gold pieces, but at a loss of 1 stamina point for every 2 gold pieces. So that means I can, for instance, say that I want 8 gold pieces now. So 18 gold pieces. I go down 4 stamina and I eat 1 provision. So that means I'm back up to 18 stamina. And that's, yeah, so I get, for 1 provision, I get 8 gold, basically. And then you go to 140 to go north again. And then when you get to the point where, and of course that means my luck is now still 12. And then when you get to the point where you asked whether you follow the ant trail or not, I say that I did. So that's where we are now. And I go to 291. The most direct route to Krill Ganache now lies somewhat to the northeast. Will you head northeast? Or continue north? So I'm thinking that if I go north, that is probably the right thing. But I have to check out now the northeast direction as well, just to see if there's anything really strange going on there. Just to see if that leads in to the right place. 336, 323. No. So if you go northeast, again, you bypass the chance of getting to the houses, which is the whole point of going there. So I'm just going to make a note of my map now. So you get to 323 or 336 again. Let's see these ones there. Which means that the only correct thing to do is to follow the ant trail, go north. Well, it must be if there's, I think that this going to this village is going to be important. So you come to a ruined village. Crows, no, not crows. Crows, crows and crows. Crows and buzzards rise lazily from crumbling stone walls. The scene is desolate and more than a little ominous. Some evil has been done here, and not too long ago. Will you walk through the village, or bypass it. So I'm not going to bypass it, but I'm just going to see if that leads to where I think it does. It leads to 55 or 214. So 214, which is northeast again. I'm just going to check now. 214 is again going to bypass and go to yes. So again, 214 leads to 323 and 336, like most other things here do. So those two paragraphs are really busy and also making my map really messy here as well. So the only option now is to go through the village, 386. Two animated skeletons emerge, jerking like puppets from behind a devastated house. They attack you simultaneously with their cutlasses, but fortunately they are rather uncoordinated. Choose one to attack and use the normal combat rules against it. The other may wound you, but you may not. Okay, so that's the normal multi-combat thing, which is described in a slightly strange way in this one, different to others, I think. So I've got 13, 18, and I'm fighting a 5-8 and a 5-7 at the same time. I'm starting with a 5-8, and I've got a 8 skill point advantage, which means that if I roll a 9 or less for them, then I will hit them. So as long as I roll less than 9 or less, I'm not going to roll for myself. So that's a 12, 6. Yeah, okay then. So first one again, yeah. Second one, yeah. First one, second one, first one is deader than before. Second one now. 5 stamina left, 3 stamina left, 1 stamina left, and he is also gone. If you win, you may take a bejeweled choker, which one of the skeletons was wearing. So a bejeweled choker. Will you then continue north through the village or weave through the village in a northeasterly direction in order to get away from it? So again, I'm going to go through the village. Only one path still that is leading the right place. So many roads now leading away from it. As you walk on down the main street, you notice other skeletons, but genuinely lifeless ones. The whole village has obviously been wiped out in a fairly recent raid. Will you poke around any of the houses or not? 56 not. Let's just see what happens if we don't, because I will, of course, but if we don't. If you don't, you are going to get to the... okay. So 56 is a shortcut to up here. And if you go into the houses, you lose luck again. So that means this is the correct thing to do, is to actually not. Yeah, I just forgot. I've done that on the map before. If you rummage in the houses, you end up with losing luck again. So I'm going to not do that. And that leads me to 56. A little way beyond the village, you come to the ruins of what was once a farmhouse and its barns. Sitting in front of the farmhouse is an old woman, threading bones onto a length of twine. She is mumbling to herself and hasn't noticed you yet. Will you approach her or make your way around the farmhouse under cover? So I'm going to approach her. The old woman looks up when you approach. A look of fear flits over her face. Then she begins to laugh hysterically. She is obviously crazy. Will you slap her face to shock her out of the hysteria or sadly leave her in her torment? So I'm going to slap her face. Your slaps change hysterical laughter into uncontrolled sobbing, which eventually subsides. The old woman looks up at you again. Give me something precious, she says slyly, and I'll tell you something precious. You're not convinced that anything she has to say will not be dangerously misleading. Will you offer her something or leave her and continue on your way? I'm going to offer her something. Will you give her 3 gold pieces, a jeweled neckband, a garnet ring, or cholumbara? So, 110, 44. Where is the... Oh, yes, there it is. Right, so I don't have cholumbara anymore, but I'll just check what would have happened if I did. I'd probably not the right thing. I'm just wondering now if... So I know that the garnet ring seems to be the correct thing here. I'm just checking what the other ones do, if there's anything special happening, but I'm quite sure that it is the garnet ring, because that belonged to her, someone in her coven. Hang on, that's not right. 1, 2, 3, 2, yeah. Oh, hang on, that's not right either. Did I misread the paragraph number there? 2, 2, 3. Or miswrite, probably. Yeah, so basically, as I established before, the garnet ring is the correctest thing to do. So 44. So I'm giving her the garnet ring. Yeah. This quietens her down immediately. The ring of my sister's coven in Affin Forest, she says in amazement. How did you... Never mind. It's good to have it back. Now, what was it I had to tell you? Oh, yes. Seek the Juja. I don't know where he lives, but there's supposed to be a clue in the riddle. I am not earth, but I can support. I am not water, but I can yield. I am not air, but I can belch. I am not fire, but I can explode. What am I? So this is a clue to finding the Juja, I suppose. Right. I am not water, but I can... I'm not earth, but I can support. It's riddles. It's one of those things, isn't it, when you're not sure what it is. Riddles. So, but before I look at the riddle again and try to figure that out, I've basically now covered all of this area as well. And then I know how to get past the forest fire. And so it depends what happens next. So I basically now I know the right path here too for getting to this bit up here. I know to give the garnet ring. I do not know what this riddle means and how I can find the Juja that way. I am not earth, but I can support. Not water, but yield. Not air. Are we talking about the swamp here now? Because you get these sort of swamp, you can get sort of explosions in swamp because of swamp gas. It's not quite earth because it's a mixture of earth and water. It can belch. You can do sort of, again, swamp gas can make belching noises. Not water quite, but it's, you can walk in, yeah. Maybe this is trying to lead me to the swamp, to the bogs, to the boggy area. So maybe I'll check that out when I get closer to it and see if that's what she's trying to tell me. I'm not going to ask what happened to the village. I don't think that gives me anything extra, so I'm going to leave and walk on north. I think it was 336. No serious obstacles present themselves for quite a while. The streams are either small enough to jump or shallow enough to wade. The land is covered in heather or bilberry shrubs, which often make the going awkward, but by no means impossible, and provide some food. On the later afternoon of the second day after leaving the grass, you come across a strange sight in such surroundings. A gaily painted caravan is being drawn by a water buffalo heading west. A robust old man is sitting on the seat of the caravan. The reins hang limply in his hands. Now, this is actually a copy, most of it, of another paragraph where there's an illustration of this. And this is another thing that I found a little bit sort of off with the way this is structured, because now you miss the illustration of something that is quite nice. But so that means that you should have had part of this paragraph should have been something and then direct you to another one, and then the other one that leads to the alchemist as well should then have led to the same paragraph, so that you could have both of the big text and the illustration in one place, so you don't miss it. Okay. A robust old man is sitting on the seat of the caravan. The reins hang limply in his hands, and he doesn't seem very concerned about where the caravan goes. The pots and pans strung up around the caravan clash and clang as it passes over the rough terrain. A sign on the side reads, "Canchus, Alchemist and Trader." You call out and Canchus stops the caravan. The buffalo immediately begins to target some coarse grass. Canchus offers to sell you some of his homemade wares. If you have money and want to see what he's got, remember this paragraph and turn to 80. So I'm going to go to 80 and have a look. And now I actually do have money. Some of the alchemist wares are of interest to you. A potion of luck for 3 gold pieces, potion of healing, 6 stamina points, cloak of temporary invisibility, antifreeze potion, and boots of agility. Now, I'm going to do the cloak of temporary invisibility, and I'm going to do boots of agility. Those sound like something I might be able to get some useful. And also, just to check now. 5 gold pieces, yeah. So because I backtracked and technically didn't have the pouch that I picked up from the Doragar family last time, I've also got 5 more gold than I got on my character sheet, which means that I can also afford a potion of healing, which I know I can use to help the let's see, there was somebody I saw lying down on the ground that it said that if you have a potion of healing you can help the person. I'm going to do that as well. So and that is a total sum of 21 gold, leaving me with 2 gold left. And so, yes. And then I go back to this one, and then it says, oh, you can attack him as well. Let's go and see what happens if you attack him. That's probably a terrible idea. Okay. Yeah. He just kills you. Why wouldn't he? So then we go to 13. Several days later, reduce your provisions by 2. So provisions are now 6. You are faced with your most dangerous situation yet. A bushfire starts in the south and is racing in your direction, driven by the wind. The front of the fire is many kilometers long, at any rate. Even from a distance, you cannot see the ends of it. The dry heather and shrubs are excellent kindling for it, and it leaps the streams and small rivers with no apparent pause. It is still a long way away, but you know the speed at which such fires travel. Will you stay where you are, race north, try to find the fire's western limit, try to find the fire's eastern limit, move towards the fire? So there's only one thing I haven't tried to do. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to see what happens if you do. Yeah. So if you just keep running towards the fire, you will also die, unsurprisingly. But I have found that the right thing to do is first to go north. Only a few kilometers north you find an impassable canyon. There is no bridge here across its span of several hundred meters, and the sides are too steep to climb. Animals fleeing the fire are jumping over or being pushed by other beasts to their deaths in the shallow river at the bottom of the gorge, about half a kilometer below. If you have a rope, it will not reach the bottom, of course, but you could tie one end of the rope to a boulder and let yourself down until the fire burns itself out at this natural fire break. Now, another thing I really like about this book as a game, I mean, the game structure of this is actually quite good. Even though there's some continuity flaws. The game structure is really good. So there are a few red herring items that you can pick up that will actually not help you. They will actually kill you. And there are more of them than there usually are in a book like this. So, for instance, if you pick up the pickaxe head in the mines and you try to use it, you die. And if you don't have it, you don't die. And the same with the rope here. If you use the rope, you die. And if you don't have it, you might think of another thing that is more likely to be correct. And the same with the mirror, the crystal magic mirror that you can take from the elves. You might think it's a good thing to take it, and then you take it to Heather because you've seen him ask for it before, and you think, oh yeah, I'm going to get the horn now without having to hunt for that stupid saber-toothed cat or tiger, you might think, if you don't know that there's no such thing. And then you will be tricked into thinking that is an option, and it isn't. So there's at least 3 red herring items that will make things worse for you, and that is pretty cool. Oh, actually, oh yes, another one. The when you go to the Horagars, the Doragars. Yeah, the Doragar family. The Doragar, that is a sort of a cross between an orc and a troll. That's used for workers in the mine. And you can pick up the pouch, and then later when you are confronted with the fact that you have a pouch, it turns out that it will kill you. So yeah, I like that. Lots of red herring items, and it sort of encourages you not to be a thief, I suppose, as well. So it's part of your moral education, this book. Right. Where are we? So we have see rope. Yeah, you could race away from the cliff and towards the fire. So now I'm going to run towards the fire again. 359, which is the only correct thing to do here. Half a kilometer away from the cliff, you pause for thought. Roll 2 dice. So this is a skill test, and I'm going to pass that with flying colors. Let's see. If you fail, I'm just going to see what happens if you do. I suppose you just die again. Yeah. So if you fail the skill test here, you die. If you succeed, you come up with the only correct solution, which is you realize that you need to create a fire break between yourself and the bushfire, but you have left yourself little time. The only means you have of making such a fire break is to start your own fire, which will burn up the shrubs and leave the bushfire nothing to catch on. Will you start a fire to the south of where you stand, between yourself and the bushfire, or north? Well, doing it south is a bad idea. If it's moving in this direction, means that is the wind direction, and if you start it south of you, it will catch up with you and push you off the cliff again. So it has to be north of where you stand. 265. This is the only possible solution, it says. Your fire will make a desolate area stretching back towards the cliff. You can enter this area to wait for the bushfire to burn itself out. But by not doing this immediately, you have left yourself very little time. Roll 1 die, roll a 4, go to 17. Excuse me. Right, sorry about that. Phone call. Right, I just lost my track a little bit. Where was I? I rolled 1 to 4 on my roll here, which is interesting because it says, unfortunately, by the time the bushfire reaches you, your own fire has not formed a large enough area for you to escape the suffocating heat. Your adventure is over, which means that at this point, you die, which means I'm wondering now whether that means that if you... But surely making a fire south of you wouldn't work. No. So that means at this point there's actually a 2/3 chance of dying. Just like that. Regardless of what you do. So that makes me wonder, is there another option? No, I don't think so. I've looked at all these. The one I haven't checked out. I'm just wondering now because that seems quite low. Oh, there is another option. There is another option. Right at the very beginning here, if you just wait, then you are told to test your skill. And that means that you come up with your idea sooner rather than later. So this isn't the best path through. So the best path through is going to be, I'm just going to run through that now because, well, I died, so I'm going to backtrack anyway. So that means that as you get to the point where you see the bushfire emerging, you take the option of staying 148. And it says roll 2 dice. And so that's a test of skill, skill. I'm just going to do that down here now. 1, 2. So 1, 2. So that is 1, 3, 4 or 2 or 6. So that is success or fail. So we go to 206. You realize that there is little point in running and that your only hope is to create a fire break between yourself and the bushfire. So this is the correct option. This is not the correct option. So there we are. The only means you have of making such a fire break, it does seem to be the correct option before because I rolled 5 or 6 at the top there. But it did say, didn't it, that you were doing it a bit late. So it did make me wonder for a moment whether that was a hint that there is a better way, and there is a better way. So would you start a fire to the south or between yourself and the bushfire? Or north. So yeah, so of course south again is going to 102 because that is the wrong thing to do. And north is the only correct way to do it. 168. Maybe I should move that up here actually, so we go where the exit is for this little logic puzzle here. That is the bushfire. 168 north. So, and then we go to 168 and it says this is the only possible solution. Your fire will make a desolate area which you can enter and wait for the bushfire to burn itself out. But have you enough time for this area to be consumed and cool down before the bushfire is upon you? Roll 1 die. So now we've got 3 options happening here. On 1 to 2, turn to 52, 3 to 4, turn to 17, or 5 to 6, turn to 114. So this is a different set apart from 1 in 3 chance now of dying. So we got 2 other options there. Okay. Hang on, phone call again. Right, back again. Sorry about another interruption there. Won't happen again this video, probably. Right. Where am I? Yes, I just gone and found that there's a better way to do the escape from the fire by doing it earlier, but there is still a 1 in 3 chance of dying here. Let's see. So I'm rolling a 1d6 again, and then on 3 to 4, in this case, 3 to 4 leads to 17, which is a dying. I'm just going to roll the die now. 1, yeah, I survived, I suppose, but probably with some injury. So 52 is 1 to 2, and 114 is 5 to 6. So there we are. Boom, 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 and boom. Right, so I rolled 1 and go to 52. By the time you have no choice except to enter your fire break, it is still very hot and causes you 4 stamina points of burns, but at least you are safe. Turn to 114. So, that is the same as rolling 5 or 6, which means that is a safe thing to happen. Did I reduce any stamina earlier for the -2? So that is, yeah, no. So no, that's the lock. Stamina is 18, and I'm down to 14, which means I can eat a provision. I have 5 provisions left and full stamina again. You are safe within your fire break, and you follow it to the north to keep well away from the suffocating heat of the bushfire. After a few kilometers, you find that your fire has burned itself out at the edge of a huge canyon about half a kilometer deep and almost as wide. The sides are too steep to climb, and there is no bridge here. Turn to 10. So this is where our paths converge again, and this is then the best option for your path, and also still with a risk of dying. That is 33.3%, just this bit in isolation, which means that the entire book under 1 has quite a reduced risk of, not reduced risk, reduced chance of being won, just, yeah, technically with dice rolls and things, just from the fact that there's a 1 in 3 chance of dying right here. Right, so we go to paragraph 10, which is our next map as well. There we are. 1, 2, 10. Let's see. There we are. Add 1 luck point for surviving the bushfire. And again, very good. This book is actually rewarding you every time there is a certain likelihood of death, with luck points for escaping that chance of death. And I think that is something that should be done in all the books, really. If you have a luck roll or a skill roll, something like that, that causes that, where one of the possible outcomes is that you die, then surviving that is something that should grant you luck points. So especially if it's a random thing, like now just roll 1d6. That's what I think. Okay. You now face a lengthy journey along the edge of the canyon until you can find some way across or down it. At least there will be plenty of roast meat from animals which died in the fire to keep you going on the way. And the streams, though oily and blackened from the fire, still provide water which is refreshing enough. Will you head east or west along the cliff? And I think maybe this is a good time to end it for the day. Just is such a natural place to start again, I think. With a new map of, and also now I can confidently say that I know the path through this part of the map here. So I know the path through, the correct path through my first 3 pages of maps. And so we get to this one. So that's probably quite a natural way, I think, a natural place to stop and then take stock and start over again. So yeah. So I'm just going to do my transition in that case. Let's do it like this. Right, there we are. That is the end of this today. Right, there we are. Did you enjoy that? I certainly did. I am liking this book very much now as a game, even with a slight sort of a few unfair paragraphs and some strange things in the way it's structured. Those are actually quite minor things because this is a very good map puzzle. It's a very good item puzzle, it sounds like, as well, in terms of finding the right items and using them in the right place. And also not picking up some things as well, which is quite interesting. So next time we will continue from after the bushfire, from when you're standing on the edge of the canyon and you're trying to find your way from there. And I think I can conclude now that everything before that I have covered. I know where everything is. I've basically checked out all the options. I've found all the items. I know the right path. From here on, it's only one way forward. So I will continue this game next time, and I will hope to see you there. And I hope you enjoyed this one. And thanks for watching. Goodbye for now. Bye-bye. Oh, yes, book. Transition coming up. Whoosh.